Welcome to The Mountain Gardener with your host, Ken Lane. Gardening can be challenging, but with Ken's tips, tricks, and local advice, you'll reap huge rewards. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
And welcome to this week's edition of The Mountain Gardener, your host, Ken Lane, talking about the landscapes of northern Arizona. And it has been a hot one, and now it's cooling off. I've had enough of this heat stuff. I want it to be in like the 80s, low 90s, and your plants do too. My tomatoes, they don't like producing when it's that hot out. Once you go up into the mid 90s, tomatoes they take a break. They're going, it's just too hot. I'm going to sit here and just survive. And so they'll shed their blossoms and not really start producing. This week, it looks like, boy, if you were to fertilize your tomatoes with like flower power, something real high phosphorus, and a little bit cooler weather, they would just start setting fruit like instantly. Those green tomatoes have been sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. You just got to have a little bit cooler weather and then bump them, a little calcium and phosphorus, and they'll start ripening instantly. So they take a little break here. Some of us, not all of us, have had a couple good rains over our gardens. Not really over here at the garden centers. We own Waters Garden Center here in Prescott. They not a lot of rain here, but at my house, just like 4 miles away, 2 good storms. Go figure. And that's how the monsoon rains kind of hit or dump on us here in northern Arizona. They'll hit a neighborhood, and next neighborhood over, nothing, just completely dry. And so I was videotaping, I was Instagramming actually. One of the storms hit the back patios, had the grills going, and it just poured. I'm going, I think I'll Instagram while I'm sitting here grilling and being poured on under an umbrella. And people are giving me reports all around the city. Chino Valley hasn't seen anything yet. Groom Creek, there's nothing here but a couple sprinkles. West side of Prescott, not much. It's almost like a live weather report as I'm Instagramming. It's kind of fun. That's the way it works. We will get more. If nothing else, the humidity, your plants like that. But they really don't like to be hot as far as temperature-wise. Once you get up above mid-90s, you get into the hundreds, your gardens aren't happy. You just need them to survive until the weather does cool down. They just take off again. So we've got 2 months, end of October really, of good growing weather for us. So you'll start to see the end of September, another 5 weeks away. You'll start to see fall is starting to happen. So sumacs, they're always the first ones to turn color. I mean, sumacs, they're waiting to go dormant. They just want to go dormant. Some of your best flowers off of roses, your echinacеas, flowering phlox. There's a whole series of late summer, fall mums. The mums have started to come in here at Waters Garden Center. The garden mums. There's a whole series of greenhouse mums. Those aren't ready. Those are waiting for like Halloween. They force them to come on at a certain time. And quite honestly, they're not very hardy. Things that are grown in a greenhouse are not as hardy to winter right over for us as a perennial chrysanthemum that's grown outdoors. So those have started to show up here at the garden center. And so you're seeing that whole series of plants. Your veggie gardens like cucumbers, pumpkins, squash, eggplants, not so much eggplants, peppers for sure. They're going to wait until it cools down a touch. If you just kept them alive, then fertilize them just as it cools down to that low 90s, 80s, and they just take off again with whole new growth, whole another growing season. And so it's a good time to fertilize trees and shrubs, especially if they got damaged. Let's say aspens with a little bit of a touch of leaf spot, or maples that had some leaf tear. It's pretty common to see some stressed out plants when it's that hot out, just like you would be. If you were out there all day long, you'd stress out too. So give it a little bit of nutrient, some water, and it makes a difference. One thing I am noticing quite a bit, especially folks new to the area that have not learned how to irrigate or water their landscapes, this is a serious problem when you get up in that hotter temperatures. Now it looks like we're down. We're heading towards fall. We're off of this summer heat. Now we're coming down. We're landing down into nicer weather. The fall is the most magical time in northern Arizona, just what we're famous for. If you made a mistake, I'm seeing both over and underwater. I had someone that was watering their poor Alberta spruce. Oh my gosh. A 5-gallon Alberta spruce is a cute little evergreen. Looks like a teddy bear out in the yard. Just as far as evergreen goes, it's the smallest, cutest, perfectly shaped evergreen. Very common throughout all elevations, from Groom Creek to Williams to Flagstaff to White Mountains to Kingman. They'll grow everywhere in between there, but this is a drought-hardy plant. They were watering, according to their landscaper, said you should water this 20 gallons twice a week. It's getting 40, this little 5-gallon plant was getting 40 gallons of water per week through summer. It is going to die. I mean, guaranteed going to die. We helped give her some root and grow, trying to guide her through, going, you need to regrow some roots. You killed them all with too much water. This plant probably really needed about 5 gallons of water a week, and it was getting 40. Grossly overwatered. And plants, when they're sitting in that much moisture and gooey soil, the roots will literally start to rot underneath their canopy, underneath their foliage. And so what happens is, now all of a sudden the roots have rotted. It's got a smaller root mass. It looks like it's being underwatered, and it is, because the amount of roots it has is now smaller. It can't support all that top growth, and so it lets that top growth die off, trying to shrink itself to mirror the size of the roots underneath it so that maybe it can survive. Likewise, I'm seeing just as many folks grossly underwater. I just had another customer. They were watering their plants 5 minutes every day. It's crazy. Plants are not going to like that. A thimble, their irrigation system, drip irrigation, for 5 minutes is literally, I mean, I just spit on this microphone more than you watered your plants out in your landscape. There's no way they could survive that. Impossible. It's not enough moisture when it's 100 degrees out. You've got to water deeper, longer, saturate that root ball, and then let it air out and dry. And so plants like to breathe. They breathe at their root levels, and then they take in moisture at the root levels. But they do everything at the roots, not so much from the top growth. And so if you're only watering 5 minutes, that's probably not even a pint of water. You got a 5-gallon plant that needs 5 gallons of water a week. And so you're giving it literally a pint maybe a day. That is not enough moisture to keep your plants alive. That just doesn't equate to a gallon of water a week. Does not equal 5 gallons, how much that plant needs to survive. And so it starts to, now it sacrifices those roots. Instead of rotting off, now they dry out and die off. They actually become crusty and thin out. And so now you've got a smaller root mass. The plant will actually sacrifice some of that upper growth so that it can match its top foliage to its root mass now, trying to survive if at all possible. So the symptoms look very similar up top from overwatering and underwatering. It's very, very similar as far as the symptoms you see at the top growth. That's why we'll ask a lot of questions going, well, tell me about the irrigation. How are you watering? How do you know? We're trying to help you figure out how much that water, how that plant is interacting with that water schedule you're giving it. We can tell you, guide you in the right direction, hopefully. No one can tell you exactly how to water. Impossible. Each garden and space in your landscape is different. But we've seen enough here, at least here at Waters Garden Center, 58 years of history. We've seen a lot over the decades. We kind of know what direction to go in. And so we could help get you the bumpers out there so you're staying on the road and hopefully not veering off grotesquely where it's an obvious death and decay blunder out in your landscape or your gardens. So that's just some things I'm watching. Watering, irrigation, heat, things are resetting. You're coming into a great, probably one of the best garden seasons that you always hear. Fall is for planting, autumn is for planting. Well, it's true because the weather's so nice, you just can't hardly make a mistake. A lot in store for you this show. Lisa Waterslane coming in with your garden questions right after this.
You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane, owner of Waters Garden Center in Prescott. Join him every week for timely garden advice right for the gardens. Visit Ken where he can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
Waters garden companion plants for August are radio red salvias, trumpeting vine, and butterfly bush.
Monarch and swallowtail butterflies flock to Waters butterfly bush with spectacular 8-inch flowers filling the yard with fragrance and beauty.
Heat, drought, wind only make this shrub bloom more. Tough enough to grow in clay, but hardy enough to shine in containers.
With so many colors to choose, every yard should have at least 2.
You'll only find impressive butterfly bush at Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
Plants are a lot like puppies. They need care, water, and food.
You wouldn't forget to feed your puppies, so don't forget to feed your plants.
Waters 744 All-Purpose Plant Food is a gourmet meal for your plants.
The only food for Arizona plants for the nutrients they need for big blooms, a hefty harvest, and tremendous trees, all naturally.
It's time to feed your plants with 744 All-Purpose Plant Food from Waters Garden Center in Prescott. You've been listening to Ken Lane, the Mountain Gardener. Green thumbs learned while working in the Family Garden Center. Now welcome back to the Mountain Gardener.
And we have Lisa Waterslane in the studio. She comes each week with your garden questions. Just what are your neighbors talking about? And might I say, my dear,
Yep.
fabulous glow. Hair's a little lighter, skin's a little darker. You just got this, I've had time on the lake look. You relaxed?
That is true. Yeah, I relaxed. Yes.
Yeah. Well,
it's
good.
hard to come back after a week on the lake.
It is actually, that's true, isn't it? Hard to power back up. Going now,
It really
where did I
is.
end? Where am I going? It's a week on Lake Powell.
Mm-hmm.
So we took my brother, both brothers, brother-in-law and brother up, and
Yeah.
their wives and some kids, and it wasn't pressure packed. It was hot as, I felt like I was in Phoenix.
It was toasty.
Toasty, but
Very
yeah, you
toasty.
jump in the water more, and you just jump in the water more. So
And water was warm,
88
too.
degrees on the
I
back of the
don't-
houseboat.
I'm trying to remember if I've ever...
No,
Yeah,
never been that warm.
it's crazy.
80, low 80s, 82 is, I think last year was the peak. So it's 5 degrees warmer this summer than last summer. Just the water temperature, of course, it was 108 out.
True.
Oh,
It was hot. It was hot.
I'd still rather be hot on the lake in the water than I would at home in the gardens. Can I say that?
I was
Can I
going
say that on a garden
to
show?
say in the air conditioning.
Anyway, we digress so quickly. I
We
can't wait.
did.
We've got our boy, he's in the Army. They have not given him leave. He's a PA, physician assistant for 1st Armored, the howitzers. I don't know all the, I'm not Army, so I don't know. He's in charge of a lot of men, women, soldiers.
Right.
If you shoot a tank or a howitzer, he and his like 50 medics will take care of you. That's it. Well, COVID, they're not letting anyone go anywhere, anytime. He can't be he can't leave more than 50 miles from the base. Fort Bliss, those of you that are Army, you know what that is. That's Fort Bliss, El Paso. And so he hasn't been anywhere. He's been putting in for leave. He's got 3 months of leave. He can never get away. And finally, they gave him his, it's official. He's got leave in 2 weeks.
Yes.
We're going to take him up to Lake Powell and just go, here, just come and relax. We'll show you. We'll go fishing with the boys. We'll just kind of swim, just relax. We'll go find a beach, swim with the dogs. It'll just be, we can't wait to take them out just to truly unplug.
Yeah.
Their family's been educating internally, in-house. They can't go anywhere. I feel for families right now.
Oh, it's rough. It's yeah. You just got to feel for him. And a lot, like poor Teresa, his wife. So the kids have gone back to school, but they're online. But they're online from like 8:30 to 3 every day. Plus, she has a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh my
how do you
gosh.
do that? That's crazy.
I mean, Zoom calls. I'm on a lot of Zoom calls with consultants and just other nursery owners. And you'll see some kid will be walking in the background with like a diaper on. Dog will be barking, chewing up like the curtains in the background. Just weird stuff happens
Yeah.
when you're online. It's just not normal.
Oh yeah, yeah. So it'll be fun. It'll be fun to have them and chill with the kids and the grandkids. That's always a hoot.
It's always good. Garden questions. What do we got this week?
Oh, we're going to talk about garden related.
We
stuff?
should. Yeah, that'll be of more interest to listeners, I'm sure.
I'll guarantee you. Okay, Tom. He's trying to build a living wall. So he's using chicken wire with posts. Anyways, he wants to grow a vine, vegetation on it, and make this living wall. His question is, what would you recommend to plant to create this living wall?
Oh, super easy. And your timing could not be better. So now's a great time. I assume the structure's already up he wants to create this living wall with. So vines is a great one. And so the most popular by far, honeysuckle. Mm-hmm. There's several colors. You can intermix them. The next one, the most popular native, the one that just grows wild, that's going to be Virginia creeper. Throughout all the hillsides, throughout northern Arizona, you'll find Virginia creeper. If you actually take care of them, they will go nuts. The most popular English garden, one that you see in the magazines all the time, kind of overkill sometimes, but wisteria grows really fast. Mm-hmm. Yeah, thick green. By the time it gets done maturing, it will be holding your structure up for you because it's got a major trunk. And it does actually bloom here in the mountains, that big, pretty purple flower. That's one come in. That's one visit. There's so many more choices that you could pick from. Akebias, and there's trumpet vine, and there's just all. And you take a picture of it. Give us the length. We could help you design it. I would say go each section, change it up. Get some difference. So you can have different bloom cycles. Some real easy to grow vines here. Yeah. Many of those will actually create and turn into ground covers. You just take them off the structure, grow them on the ground. That's what Virginia creeper is, the native one. You don't see it growing up trees. It just crawls across the ground, covers things up. Animals don't eat it. Hummingbirds like it. They nest inside there. Just a great all-around, drought-hardy, tough plant that grows well here.
I agree. All right. Next question is from Christine in Prescott Valley. She is looking to put fruit trees on a new lot in Prescott Valley. She wants to know, can she still plant? And then her second question is, what's the closest she can plant trees together?
Oh, those are good questions, yeah. So, yes, you can plant now easily. I'd say now through really Thanksgiving, good time. Lots of choices to pick from here at the Garden Center, from apricots to nectarines to peaches, lots of peaches, cherries, apples, pears, lots of choices. So yes, plant them now. They'll root and you'll get fruit next year by doing that. If you waited till next spring, you probably wouldn't get fruit. It would just be focused on rooting. Or if you did get fruits, it'd just be a few of them, not very many. Now, how close? That's the tricky one. Pitted fruits, so your things that have a pit in the middle, so plums, nectarines, and apricots, peaches, all those things they're smaller. You can put them together probably every 8 feet. If you trimmed them, kept them tight. If you're going with pears and apples, maybe go with a semi-dwarf variety, and you could still do that. So in Prescott Valley, our first house we had out there, we had them on 8-foot centers. We did prune them every summer, every winter. We pruned them twice. We kept them at 8-foot centers, and they produced like crazy. Mm-hmm. Traditionally, if you're just going to let them grow, it's more like 12, 15 feet apart. If you don't want to do all that tight square foot gardening stuff. So come in and talk to us. We'll give you the tour and help you space them out or design that. Go to top10fruittrees.com. All the fruit trees we have here at the Garden Center, you can see them. They're on display. It's got research, how big they get. Might help you pick the right varieties before you even come in. Sure. You do your homework online. We've got a digital store. Just take a look at them right there.
Okay, good to know. All right, Gina has a question about her roses. She says, they just look rough.
It's been hot.
They look rough. They've stopped blooming. She wants to know, what can she do to kind of perk them back up and kick them into bloom?
Super easy. So the fall bloom of roses is even better than the spring bloom. Spring gets all the claims to fame, but right now, roses aren't going to bloom when it's super hot out. They just take a break. You just keep them alive. Right now, deadhead them. Get all the old spent flowers off, trim them up, fertilize them with the all-purpose plant food. We make a fertilizer that is the most magical stuff for roses. It's made of cottonseed meal. Sprinkle some of that on. Pray for it to be under 90 degrees, which is like all this coming week looks stunning.
It's coming.
Yeah, it's going to be, and then right through fall, it'll stay that way. So that's why roses look so good through the fall of the year. But you need to replenish their fertilization, and a natural all-purpose plant food, a 744 all-purpose food with cottonseed meal. After you clean it up, pull off the dead, kind of the bruised leaves, heat-stressed leaves, load them with fertilizer, and they will just go, within 2-3 weeks, they'll be absolutely stunning, covered in flowers, and it will stay that way through October. I mean, you will really November. We'll have flowers, maybe not in full bloom, but you can see the buds through Thanksgiving each year. So that's whether it's a carpet rose, a Cecil Bruner big spreading rose, or a shrub rose, or even a hybrid tea. No matter what it is, it's the same approach. The secret is all the food's gone because you've been watering so much and it's been so hot. Now the heat's off. Continue watering them, but fertilize, and that'll be the kicker that'll make them all go into bloom. They'll flush all at the same time. That's how you take care of roses. Ken and Lisa Lane, the Mountain Gardeners, will be right back.
You're listening to Ken Lane, a.k.a. the Mountain Gardener. Ken can be found throughout the week in Prescott at Waters Garden Center. Listen each week as he answers timely garden questions unique to mountain gardens.
Waters garden companion plants for August are radio red salvias, butterfly bush, and trumpeting vine.
Large clusters of red and orange flowers create a dramatic show all season long with Waters trumpet vine.
This vigorous vine thrives in heat and blooms profusely with neglect.
Quickly covers large areas as a ground cover, spilling over retaining walls, screening a fence, or cloaking arbors.
Guaranteed to attract more hummingbirds, and only found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Oh no! My pine trees look terrible!
Never fear, Plant Protector is here.
Plant Protector? From Waters Garden Center?
My Super Strength Protector destroys pine scale, bark beetle, and aphids. Just water into the soil and your trees are protected from the inside out for the year.
Thank you, Plant Protector.
You can always find Plant Protector at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
You've been listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Join the conversation every week as he answers timely garden questions. Email Ken a question directly from your phone to his desktop through the web at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Now welcome back your host, Ken Lane.
It did occur to me that the start of the show, top of the hour, I was mentioning garden blunders as far as watering goes, but I never told you the right way to water, actually. So let me just hone this in for you. I've got a water guide. They're free of charge here at the garden center. Please ask for one. There's one that's a full size 8.5 by 11, and there's one that's small business card size that's made to tape inside your garden journal or inside your irrigation box. As a reminder, when do you turn the system on? When do you turn them off? How much do you water? And it gets you close. You should not be watering trees, shrubs, and vines every day. Period. That's it. Don't do that. Huge blunder. Huge. If I were to stick your person into water and see how you looked after you sat inside the pool for an entire week, you'd be a prune. And so will your garden roots. They do not like that. They need to breathe. They need to aerate in between irrigation. I can't emphasize this enough. Yeah, well, I'm from Seattle. We got rain every day. Well, Toto, you ain't in Seattle anymore. You're down in Prescott, Arizona, where the clay soil and silt and rock and plants, we're drought-hardy plants. We got different plants. They don't work that way here. So I just want to slap those folks. Please don't come in and tell me that. Your plants want to be watered a good, deep soak 1-2 times a week. That's good. These are deep-rooted plants. We're talking plants with, 18, 24-inch roots. That takes a long time. If you force water that deep into the soil, with drip irrigation, you can do this. You just leave it on for an extra hour. You will force that water right down through the entire root zone and then some. You should be watering your irrigation, your drip irrigation should be watering minimum 1 hour, if not 2 hours. That's how long. It's so efficient, so slow. It's just dripping. It's a drip irrigation. It takes a long time to get some water on that plant through that little tiny emitter. The average plant, an average 5-gallon tree, that's your smaller trees, need about 5 gallons of water per week. Your 10-gallon trees, 15s, this is the kind of the bigger ones, they need about 10 to 15 gallons per week. The really big boys, we're talking 25. We sell 45-gallon size trees. These are huge, instantaneous. We're talking, I want a shade tree now. Funk, plant it, and it is instantaneous tree. That probably needs more like 30, 40 gallons a week. So you probably want to do some calculations to figure out, okay, I've got, let me see here, I need 4 emitters. They're 4 gallons per hour. Let's see, that's 4 gallons per hour now coming out on that tree. I need to run that for 10 hours a week. Let's see, I better break that up into 2 cycles. I'll make that 5 hours at a time. Yeah, you can back the math up and actually calculate how to do this. There's just quick calculations on that. If you need some help, we can help you do that here at the Garden Center. But we're seeing a lot of mistakes just because the pressure was on us because it was so hot that you just had to be close. You didn't have to be exact, but you couldn't make a blunder like soak this thing every day and so the plant never got to breathe, or you watered it 15 minutes every day and the plant literally drowned or dried out, didn't have enough moisture, either too much, too little. That's bad. Plants don't like that. For established trees, you've got a big pine tree or a big deodar cedar, big maple tree, big aspens. These plants, they've been around for a long time. Their roots are everywhere. There, you probably do need to separate out maybe what I mentioned last week. Take a soaker hose or take just a fan kind of sprayer on the end of your hose, and once a month, supplement the irrigation you already have established out there in the yard and just let it run. Let it soak that whole area, the whole root zone. It's real easy to overdo it with really established plants. And I only do that really April, May, June, July. I'm trying not to do it in August because I've had 2 good rainstorms. I'll just supplement watering so to deep soak the entire garden section during those really hotter, drier months. April, May, June, it's really dry in northern Arizona. July, you start to see some rains in the White Mountains, Flagstaff, maybe Payson, Prescott. But by August, all of us start to see some rain here in the North Country. And so there I'll kind of back that off and going, okay, I'll let Mother Nature take over here. I'll keep my regular, right now I'm watering, deep soaking my trees and shrubs that are established once a week. And I'm running it for 2.5 hours. Trees, shrubs, roses, vines, grapes, all kinds of stuff. My flowers, lawns, containers, totally different. Vegetable gardens, you're watering those every day right now. There's little tiny plants. They have a root structure. It's like 6 inches deep. 6 inches of soil dries out fairly fast. And so there I'm watering not as much, but more frequently. Lawns, typically I'm trying to use fescue lawns. Those are lower water use, deeper rooted lawns. Those are a couple times a week. If you got a bluegrass or a ryegrass or Prescott blend, there you probably have been watering that every day. It's a softer, shallower rooted type of lawn. It needs more water. Container gardens, you better be watering every day until water's running out that drainage hole in the bottom. It needs water. If it's hanging basket, you might water it twice a day. I mean, it's pretty dry and hot out there, so don't let that root ball dry out or it's hard to rehydrate. So I've been watering my containers once a week.
The Mountain Gardener, your source for timely garden advice right for higher elevations. Guaranteed to make a difference in your yard this season.
Gardening and you don't know where to start?
Water's in-home garden service comes to you and identifies what you have and how to make it better.
Design advice, water strategies, vegetable and flower gardens, soil and food needs, and problem solving. Always problem solving.
You'll instantly be a better gardener.
All for just $200 of expert time with a coupon to fill your garden dreams without ever leaving home.
In-home garden consultations from Waters Garden Center.
We can be at your home this week.
Water's garden companion plants are maple, verbena, crepe myrtle, and rose of Sharon hibiscus.
Rose of Sharon is a mountain hardy hibiscus with anemone-like blooms.
Each stem of this hardy hibiscus is packed with buds.
She makes a beautiful informal hedge or screen and is easily trained into small trees.
Available Prescott colors show in blue, purple, white, red, and pink for years of enjoyment.
You'll find breathtaking hibiscus here at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
You're listening to The Mountain Gardener with local expert Ken Lane. Mountain gardening is very rewarding, with a few Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts sure to turn your thumbs even greener. Now welcome back to The Mountain Gardener.
And we are back in the studio with Elisa Waters Lane. She has this segment all to herself and just shares what's going on in her garden, what she sees. Welcome back to the studio, Lisa.
Thank you.
Might I say, we were gone from the garden center for a few days last week. It's had some lake time. And we come back, and the nursery is
fabulous.
Stunning. I forget how beautiful the garden center is. You just got to step away so you don't see all the details. You've seen the bigger picture, and you just go, whoa, this is a great place. And our gardens, they're all on auto timers. Everything survived, and they just look great. I mean, just feels good to be out there.
It does.
Backyards or front yards.
And it's just a nice time to be, especially the mornings.
Oh, yeah.
Mornings have been kind of cloudier and a little cooler.
Is that smokier or cloudier? I couldn't tell.
Well, that's a good question.
They're
now that I
saying
think about it.
the smoke from California is now can be seen as far away as Kansas. Kansas.
my.
That's the middle of the country.
Yeah.
That's terrible. We need some moisture, some rain, something to kind of soothe the burning bushes. Something.
I guess we did have some moisture, so we were up at the lake. And then you want to make it rain here, we leave town, it rains in Prescott.
Yeah, that's no doubt.
It irritates me beyond belief. I've been waiting for rain for forever, and then we leave town, and it rains.
So you're saying you like rain?
Yes, I do.
It rained right before we left. I was out barbecuing and underneath an umbrella. So
yeah, it wasn't enough.
Well,
I
one
miss
event.
the monsoons. Remember when the lightning and thunder? It was like this whole big thing. It was so much fun, and you're terrified because the lightning's coming. But it's
this
just
is when you were a kid, or when
yeah.
you were terrified? Oh, I do remember you go off to church on a Sunday. Church is 9, 10 o'clock. You come home, have lunch, come back home. This is like in the 70s, 80s. And by the time you had to worry, you had to make sure all the windows were closed in monsoons, or it would rain and be inside the house. Yeah. It just almost it was more consistent to that.
Maybe that's
that old age kind of saying, oh, it was better back then. I don't know, but it seemed like there was a little more moisture. But it'll rain. It'll come.
Oh, I know.
It'll happen.
I know. I'm just pining for my youth.
Yes. Oh, there we go. You're still my hottie. I'd marry you all over again at 20-something, kind of going, whoa, she caught my eye.
Thank you, dear.
You're welcome.
That's very nice.
Gardening. We digress.
Okay. Once again, okay. So, because, it was super hot when we were gone. And we came back, and a lot of our plants just looked fabulous. Absolutely fabulous. And the ones that looked the best are the ones that just, they like the heat. They like the end of summer where it's hot, hot, hot. And that's where they perform their best at.
Yeah.
So I thought I would hit up a few of those hotties.
Hotties. I like how you're tying it in, my dear. That sounds good to me.
Yeah, I rarely get to do that. So yeah, there we go. So if we're thinking about annual, so those plants that just give us color one season, then they're gone. But there's some that definitely perform better in the heat. The vinca, the annual vinca, loves it hot. Yeah. Angelina loves it hot. Zinnias, marigolds, and those are great to put in because they'll go until we get a nice cold frost. Yeah. So you're going to get a lot of fall, especially the zinnias and the marigolds, kind of gold, yellow colors. They can give you a lot of color right up until the very, very end. So I don't feel bad about putting them in, especially if I have pots where I just need to put, one or two things croak, so you got to freshen them up a little bit. Putting those in would be wonderful.
Great idea. Your summer plants did not like it hot. They would croak. But that's when you start replacing. You pull those things out. Put any of the zinnias or vinca or marigolds. I get Angelina. All there, and I'm sure there's some others that just love. They thrive. Right. Bright sun, hottie.
Angelonia. Angelina would work too. Yeah. That's a sedum. But in perennials, there's a bunch because there's a lot of perennials that just really like that end of summer. Lantana. Now, everybody thinks, because we have 2 varieties of lantana that will most likely winter over here. They're like a zone 7.
Yeah.
So there's Marianne, which is more of a pinky yellow, and then there's Miss Huff, which is more orangey pinky. And I think Miss Huff is gets a little bigger, a little more upright, but it's a great plant for those hot spots up against retaining walls, next to driveways. It would do excellent.
Why did they give them women's names? Lantana strikes me as like a man plant.
It's pink.
Why isn't it like Mr. Wilson's like lantana? They never do that. It's Miss Huff and Marianne.
Talk to the growers, honey.
I will. I'm going to make a phone call right after the show and ask them about that. I want a Mr. Lane lantana next. No, next one coming in, hardy variety. That's what I want.
A Mr. Lane lantana. We'll move on. So echinacea, your cone flowers, which come in a huge variety of colors, not just purple anymore. It used to be the old purple one was all you could get. Now they're pink and red and yellow and orange, all sorts of colors. The rudbeckia, which is kind of that sunflowerish looking plant, they do fabulous this time of year.
They love the heat. And rabbits don't eat either one of those.
Correct.
A deer, leave them alone. They might trample on them, but they won't eat them. They might cruise over them while they're eating your euonymus or red tip photinia, but they're not going to eat. They're not bothering them with those.
That is true. Agastache or hyssop is another truly good heat-loving one. Russian sage. Of course.
Number 1 seller, yeah.
Good heavens. They soak up the sun. They go, give me more. Give me more.
And if you water them too much, they get drunk and fall over. They flop over and they go, I just can't take this anymore.
Coreopsis, another one that does terrific. And then, of course, just your regular Salvia greggii. Your salvias, autumn sages. Fabulous in the heat. And then there are some bushes. Some blooming shrubs, there you go, that actually do quite well. Butterfly bush, got a deadheaded, but hey, what else you got to do, right?
You can take a hedger. I just take my battery operated hedgers going, okay, you're done blowing.
You take
fertilize it.
You take the hedger to everything.
I do. I'd cut my own hair with a hedger if I could, if it wasn't dangerous.
Yeah, you're not nice.
Leaves too many nicks in the scalp. That's what I found.
That's what all those scars are from. Crepe myrtle, which the crepe myrtles are still blooming around town. They look gorgeous. You can just see them in the yards from when I walk in the morning. You're long distance away, and you're like, man, what's that bright color? Oh, okay, it's a crepe myrtle.
Yeah,
beautiful, beautiful. Talking about vine, trumpet vine is still happily blooming away right now. Has that big orange flower to it. And the other one I thought of, and people are going to go, but red yuccas.
No, that's a good idea. Sure.
Yeah, because they have that spike, that red spike they send up.
It comes in yellow, red, bright red, or salmon colors.
There's a new one called Coral Glow.
Ooh, that sounds like a red. No, Coral Glow. That'd be pink, huh?
More pink.
Coral color.
Yeah. There you go.
What color is coral? I don't know.
Can you think of it? Am I missing some in my list?
You caught me off guard. I wasn't thinking about that. I would say Rosa Sharon's, roses.
Roses.
Oh, they'll bloom, especially the shrub roses. Easy Elegance is a great one for here. That's consistent bloomer. So, yeah.
But desert willows, they would still be
desert
blooming,
willows would be in bloom. Sure.
Yeah.
Chase tree. In front of Prescott Lake, off of 89A. They're in full bloom out there in front of the pond. Just big, this shrubby, kind of tall, short tree or tall shrub, blue flowers all over the top of it.
Yeah.
Great tree, or Vitex is another name it goes by. So
Caryopteris.
Yeah, there you go.
Be another
False
one.
spirea is a common name. Yeah, it's a great one. Ours is in full bloom in the backyard.
I know. I noticed that the other day. It's really pretty. And that's a great pollinator plant.
Yeah,
a lot of people don't think about it, but great one.
Lots of choices you can plant right now. If you want to research any of those, go to top10shrubs.com. We set up a digital nursery. It'll show you all the shrubs.
Are you going to get a tattoo that says
Top 10. I can't believe no one bought those URLs. I mean, all those names are sitting there for decades, since the 90s. No one's bought them. I wonder if this is available. Every one of them. Like everyone's asleep at the helm. Going, I'll buy all of them. There we go. It cost me $10 for a year for each name. So I'm going, point them all to the same place. So you got we set up a shrub nursery, a tree nursery, a perennial, a flower nursery. So you can just go see all of them.
It would be like top 10 perennials.
Yep.
And you can pop in annuals. And it'll show you what we have.
Yep. What's in stock right now. All those that you just mentioned, you can go online to top 10 flowers and it'll pop right up. You can see them all.
So you can look at them.
We got by description, what sizes, how much water, how much sun, all the details are right there. Top10plants.com. Hey, Ken and Lisa Lane and the Mountain Gardeners. We'll be right back.
Look for more tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts through Ken's website. Podcast the show, read his weekly garden column, or follow him on Facebook and Instagram at watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. If life is a bowl of cherries, why not make them the biggest, sweetest cherries ever?
Waters Garden Center is super excited to introduce our new organic fruit and vegetable plant food.
This fertilizer has the bonus of added calcium that gives fruit trees and veggies an extra boost to produce healthy, abundant crops.
Feed your plants now to help them thrive and grow more fruits than ever. And just $27 for a 20-pound bag.
Safe, natural, organic fruit and vegetable plant food only at Waters Garden Center.
Ouch! Oh man, another rock! Hi, I'm Rusty. You know, the shovel you're destroying trying to dig that hole? Sure, I get it. You got these beautiful plants at Waters Garden Center. Waters asked if they could plant them for you. But no, you had to do it yourself, even though they would plant, deliver, and guarantee your plants for 2 years. I hope I don't end up like that old pickaxe. Ouch! Prevent yard tool abuse. Waters Garden Center. They plant, deliver, and guarantee.
Welcome to the Mountain Gardener with Ken Lane. Gardening in the mountains is different. Listen to Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts guaranteed to make your gardens more beautiful than ever this year. Now for better advice that works locally, welcome your host, Ken Lane.
Now this week, we've got our Waters Garden Center. We have our clearance sale, basically. We call it Monster Monsoon Sale. It always happens the end of August, first part of September. It's been doing that for decades. Some of you have been giving me grief, and you got to hold on to yourself there. Just take a deep breath. You're coming in going, I wanted everything in the nursery on sale. I'm going, well, that's not how it works. It's clearance all the summer and spring stuff. All the things that just showed up, like yesterday, the fall maples. You're not getting that at a discount. Also, I ought to mark it up. There's such demand for it. What are you talking about? So you got to look at your fall sales. In fact, this year has been so strange. I ran out of plants to go into the fall sale. I had to go buy more plants for the fall sale. So, or Monster Monsoon Sale, sorry. So we've got fresh new evergreens, sages, all kinds of stuff we just brought in just to be able to mark them down. And what I did is I negotiated with the growers going, hey, what do you got in the field that you're kind of long on that looks great? Hey, will you sell it to me at a discount? And so I just negotiated special prices from the grower. And they just shipped in last week, fresh right off the truck, but they're part of the fall sale. Pottery. I didn't have any. I sold everything I could get my hands on, and I couldn't get enough. And so people are giving me grief going, well, I only see a half the pottery section on sale. It said, yeah, I just restocked yesterday. It's fresh new pot. They just came in. These are things that went over. They're big pots. They match. They look good. New styles are coming in. And so I'm not going to give that away. I'm going to give I want the onesie twosie stuff. You know, people like to buy matches to go in front of the garage or in front of those two posts in front of their house. Pears sell better in pottery as far as style goes. And they want them to be in the latest trendy colors. And so an off green isn't going to be as popular as matching aquas or chocolates, mochas, textured. Texture's a big thing. So it's all brown, but it's got a texture to it. So that's the style right now. And then always earth tones, jade green. I thought it would go out of style years ago. It's always a number one seller, but jade, It goes with cabins as well as it goes with desert adobe colors. Just gives you that spot of color to it because it's an earth tone. Even oxblood red technically is in the earth tone family. So it mixes with the browns and the chocolates and the jades. It just goes well together. If you want real style, the artists, they seem to go for that Spanish Talavera colors. I've got new varieties coming in, so all that stuff's on sale now. So here, just take it. Onesie twosies. I have a whole truckload landing like in a month. Get rid of this stuff. That's great stuff. Very bright colors. Lots of that Spanish Mediterranean feel to it. But not everything. If it just came off the truck, not going to happen. I couldn't get enough aspens this year. So we got some beautiful aspens that just came in. I'm not marking those down. It's not going to happen, but you can pick up some great, great bargains. If you need elm trees, I just said, okay, I got more elms coming. These from spring, got to go. Let them go. Locusts, same way. Crab apples, red buds, a lot of the fruit trees marked down. I'm going, okay, I don't want to winter over pitted fruits. They're harder to winter over. They do great in the ground. So plums, apricots. I think I've got a couple nectarines, a couple walnuts left. Onesie twosie stuff. Take this stuff. It's marked down hard. Go plant it. It'll do great out in the yard, and you can get a lot. Your landscape budget goes much farther in the fall, summer, these sales season. Garden centers are transitioning right now. We're harvesting our evergreens. We're setting the stage for winter sales. And with plant rotations, you've got to harvest those, root them out, get them going, ship them in and get them acclimated so they're used to the transition into the cold. And so spruce and pine and fir and cedars and junipers and even nandina or heavenly bamboos, your euonymus, junipers, those we're starting to transition now, or it's summer bloomers. I was able to find some more crepe myrtles. Oh, fine. I ran out. There's such demand for landscape plants. There's a shortage in the marketplace right now. Garden centers are running out of plants to sell. In fact, next year, it looks like this shortage might continue. I think it will continue. You won't have as many choices next spring. You'll have choices, but if you want that perfect, purple crabapple, there might not be any of those, but you'll have a radiant red or a snow white. You'll have different colors, but not that one. If you're determined to have that one variety, you've done your homework, and the internet said have this, it's the only choice. You should be more flexible than that because you're going to be sorely disappointed, I think, through next spring. And this is all COVID related. It's mass movement out of city centers into the Sun Belt. We're seeing there's housing shortages. There's not enough homes on the market. You folks that have bought homes recently, knew the area, you know what I'm talking about. It's a scramble. If ever you wanted to sell your house right now, downsize, now's the time. You're going to get premium dollar for it. But that also affects the landscapes and the plants and even the trades, plumbers and pavers and fencers and people that sling rocks. They're booked, absolutely backed up. And so it's been a good year for home improvements, from windows and from screeners to extending patios to flooring. All that stuff has been really good because people are staying at home and they're not traveling as much. And so they want their home to be beautiful. And so that's kind of what's going on. So I guess where did I go off on that? That's kind of a tangent. Didn't mean to go down that path. Anyway, fall sales on. It's not everything. And don't give me grief over, well, I wanted this one that just came off the truck. I wanted that on sale too. I'm going, well, tough. You can't have it. It's full price. You want one? Because they'll be gone in like 3 weeks. That's kind of the market that we're at right now. And right now we're booking out. I just booked, I contract grow with different farmers. I know who grows the best geraniums. I'm going, here, I want 500 of this geranium, have them ready for Mother's Day weekend. Funk. And so they've got that order. I've got through next September 2021, my plant rotation, at least the core. Not everything, but I know what apples, I know what spruce trees, I know what the shrubs, privacy screens, they're all rotated through. And hopefully, I got the crystal ball right. I don't know what's going to happen next spring. It's kind of scary. I don't know. I'm doing the forecast, and we've been on a growth trajectory at Waters Garden Center. I'm just talking us now. Our 58 years in business. What's 59 going to be next year? Trying to forecast. Our sales were off the charts this year. They've been trending at double digits, but now it's up. Where do you forecast now? So I just took a line chart and went, here's where we're at. Line chart says grow to this. We're going to grow this many. We're going to take the same trajectory, ignore the top end of this year, and just go, this is how many. I don't know if it'll be right because I made a wrong decision this year. I ran out too soon. So we just started scrambling, asking favors. Basically, I called friends and said, hey, Gary, you got any, I need some extras of these. Could you give me someone else's? And its friendships just said, yeah, this new customer, never seen him before, landscaper or whatever. I'll give you like 5 of theirs. I'm going to, thank you. That's great. I'll take them. So you did a lot of that bartering kind of stuff this year, which I don't like, but it's what it took to get through this year. It was a great year for garden centers, landscapers, all the trades from roofing to plumbing it was just good. But this if you're new to the mountains of Arizona, welcome to God's country. If you're just new to a house, you're starting to think landscaping, you're good to go. I would say if you can get that stuff in by by Thanksgiving, it's a good planting season between now and Thanksgiving. If you've got a plan, be flexible on the plan. If you got a juniper, there's probably 10 different varieties. If you're out of the one, maybe grab the other because there might not be more. Probably won't be more or the size you want. If you're waiting for a big one, it may not show up. And so I would say grab the stuff you can find and get it in the ground. It will root out now, and then you'll also get an extra bump next spring because it'll continue rooting through winter, and you'll get tremendous more growth by planting now. You could almost afford to buy a little bit smaller one, root it out, and then watch it flush that growth next spring, and it will quickly catch up. You can get more value for your landscape dollar by taking advantage of it. Be flexible over the next, 18 months in landscape plants.
You're listening to local garden expert Ken Lane, the owner of Waters Garden Center. He can be found throughout the week at Waters Garden Center, located in Prescott at 1815 Iron Springs Road. Thanks for tuning in to The Mountain Gardener.
Waters Garden Companion plants for August are radio red salvias, butterfly bush, and trumpeting vine.
Large clusters of red and orange flowers create a dramatic show all season long with Waters trumpet vine.
This vigorous vine thrives in heat and blooms profusely with neglect.
Quickly covers large areas as a ground cover, spilling over retaining walls, screening a fence, or cloaking arbors.
Guaranteed to attract more hummingbirds and only found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Wondering why the grass is always greener on the other side? Well, it's probably because your neighbor used the all-purpose fertilizer from Waters Garden Center. Monsoon is right around the corner, and it's the perfect time to feed your plants. Waters all-purpose fertilizer is the only organic made especially for Arizona mountain soils. Don't buy a bunch of different fertilizer for your flowers, veggies, trees, or grass. This one does it all. The plants on your side will be happier, healthier, greener. Safe, natural, organic. Waters Garden Center in Prescott.
You've tuned in to The Mountain Gardener with local garden expert Ken Lane. Join him each week as he answers timely garden questions that are sure to make a difference in your gardens. Now welcome your host, Ken Lane.
This whole COVID-19 thing has got everything upside down. And so we're hosting garden classes every week, so like we've done for decades. And we'll have 15 people, maybe. We have the entire greenhouse. You can spread out all over the place. We limit the chairs. Then we'll get a few other guests that are just walking there going, oh, that's entertaining. That sounds interesting. Oh, let me learn how to garden with trees. And they'll listen in. So maybe you get 20 at most. But there'll be 138 watching online. It's totally inverted, totally changed. That was not the way. We used to have up to 100 people in the garden center for classes, and then we'd have 20. I don't know, just totally flipped itself over the head. This Saturday at 9:30, every Saturday at 9:30, we host a garden class. And this coming week, it's going to be gardening for newcomers. That's this weekend. After that, it's gardening with trees. The whole list is sitting right there. You can take a look at some of them, especially if you're new to the area. The top 10 trees and how to plant them, September 5th, first Saturday in September. Climbers and covers in the landscape. So you want to cover ground cover or climb up things. Vines, that's a big thing. Vines or ground cover type of plants. Could be creeping kind of things. Easy to grow mountain plants for the fall, privacy screens, fall to-do lists, autumn color, and it goes on. We have classes through the first week in November. They're free. We want you to be a better gardener. You can take a look at them online through our Facebook page. If you're to Facebook, great. I've got no other outlet for that other than that right now, just because it's an easy-to-use platform, and it's free for little business. That's important. And we have like 9,000 followers, so it's real easy. It's like a no-brainer. We have 9,000 followers on Facebook. Why not publish it? It's so easy. So we have, that's where you get the 138 people looking at it going, oh, I'll sit in for a few minutes of that. Let's take a look. And so that's free. Another new thing, in fact, we just added this to the very homepage of watersgardencenter.com. We've digitized the garden center, and this is all in response to COVID. We just said we've got to help people see or research, or they don't have to come into the garden center and see what's here at the garden center. And so if you want to see the latest shipment, it's there at watersgardencenter.com. There's a button. You'll see a screenshot, like a video, a drone shot. Actually, I hired a drone, and it shows you, it just hovers around the nursery so you can kind of see it. And then in front of that, it goes, here's the nursery plants. Here you go. If you're driving right now, don't slow down. Keep going. This address is easy to remember, top10plants.com. We bought a whole bunch of top 10 URLs, so 10 with a number, so top number 10 plants. Top 10 trees, top 10 shrubs, just top 10 plants are the main one we're thinking what's easy to remember on the fly. Look at that, it pops you right into the store. You can see digitally. It's not every single thing at the store. Some things that we only have one left, going, I don't want to run out. And you're competing with people actually physically here at the store, and you're looking at it online all at the same time. So it's kind of like you are walking through the garden center, but it's such a great research tool. If you want to know what trees grow here, hit the tree tab. We broke it down into evergreens, flowering trees, fruiting trees, and shade trees. Real simple. Shrubs, we broke them down into evergreens, ground covers, deciduous. And roses. Roses are there too, so it's kind of a shrub. We try to break it down so it's super easy for you to see what people are planting at the garden centers here in northern Arizona. It's a great search, top10plants.com, or I like it, watersgardencenter.com, and right underneath that, you can hit the garden classes. You can see the entire list. We love helping people be better gardeners here in the mountains of Arizona. Throughout the week, Lisa and I camp out here at Waters Garden Center, and we love talking to fans of the show. Waters Garden Companion plants for August are radio red salvias, butterfly bush, and trumpeting vine.
Large clusters of red and orange flowers create a dramatic show all season long with Waters trumpet vine.
This vigorous vine thrives in heat and blooms profusely with neglect.
Quickly covers large areas as a ground cover, spilling over retaining walls, screening a fence, or cloaking arbors.
Guaranteed to attract more hummingbirds, and only found at Waters Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
If you want a more fruitful garden, increase success in your landscape that just feels better, then tune in every week to The Mountain Gardener. Years of tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts are guaranteed to make your gardens nicer than ever. Listen to this podcast or read Ken's weekly garden column by visiting watersgardencenter.com. That's Waters with 2 T's, gardencenter.com. Thanks for tuning in.